Welcome to Hope Academy. My name is Mr. O, and today I'm going to be going over the ACT Practice Exam 3 or the Online Exam 3. The link is provided below if you want to practice on these problems. But that being stated, I'll be focusing on numbers 4 through 6 today. Usually I go over the questions real quick and then I explain in depth how I was able to get to the answer. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on number 4. Okay, twice as long. Okay, this is y. Okay, so what's the area? 2w, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6w. W equals to 5. What's the area? So it means it'll be 10 by 5. That's 50. Okay, so for number 4, my final answer is going to be G. And now we'll go ahead and explain to you how I was able to get to this answer. So for number 4, the important thing you need to understand is two different concepts that do arise when they were talking about this question. The first concept they do mention is perimeter for rectangles specifically. And then the second concept they mention is area, because the only way we could get to the answer is first using the perimeter formula in order to get to the area. And so they mentioned that it's a rectangle with a perimeter of 30. And so this is where the potential confusion could come in, and I might just actually use a different color. So there's a rectangle right here. And they mentioned this. They say if the perimeter will equal to 30, right? And they state that it's twice as long as it is wide. What this means is that if it's twice as long as it is wide, that means when W is the case for, width, it's twice as long. It's double the width. So that means that this portion will be 2W. And so this means that because this is a rectangle, the longer sides are going to equal to length and the shorter sides are going to equal in length. And how perimeter in the end works is that I add up all sides and then, make it equal to 30 because that's the value they provided us. And so I'll be doing 2W plus 2W again plus W will equal to 30. And if I add up all these like terms of W's and so on, it will end up being 2, 4, 5, 6. 6W will equal to 30. And then afterwards, I'm able to do is divide it by 6. And I'm going to show it on here, which is going to end up being W equals to 5. And that will be the first part for the calculations or computation that I'm working on. But that being said, that is not the answer they're looking for. What they ask afterwards is that they want the area of this rectangle. And so what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to take this W equals to 5, this value right here, I'm going to plug it into all of these W's right here that are provided right here in the rectangles and recreate the rectangle. And so the rectangle is now going to actually be 2 times 5 by 5. So it will be rectangle will end up being 10 by 5. And of course the dimensionalities will still sustain and whatever not. But to find the area, it is the base times height or length times width. So the length times width, which is going to be 10 times 5. Whoops, I'm going to move that up, which equals to 50. And thus, on the question that we were working on, and I'm going to bring the paper back, since I found the area is going to be 50, which is going to actually be G. That was provided on the worksheet right here. And that concludes my explanation for number 4. To continue on to the next question. And so I'm going to move this out of the way. So number 5. Okay, number 5 to get started. In the standard XY coordinate plane, where the coordinates, those midpoint of the line segment to endpoints are -3, -3, 0, 7, 4. Okay. Doing this, -7 and -3 and 7 will be 10 distance, so 5. 3, 2, 0, 1, 2. So 2, 0 to 4 between that will be 2, 2, 2. Okay, so for number 5, my final answer is going to be A. And now I'm going to explain to you how I was able to get to this answer. So when I'm doing questions like number 5, the key thing they mentioned is midpoint. That's the key vocabulary, and I'll actually emphasize it by writing it again. Midpoint. Okay? The reason why this concept is so important is the idea that when we talk about midpoint, it's literally going to be the middle point. So right in the middle between these two coordinate points that they provided right here in the question, -3, 0 and 7, 4. Those are the key values that they mention. And so when I'm working between these two numbers, there's multiple ways to approach this, or you could do mental math, which is what I mostly did for the most part. But when I'm dealing with -3, 0 and 7, 4, the idea is that I basically get the average when I add these two numbers up and then divide it by 2, because that will help me find the the number that's right in between -3 and 7, and the number that's right between 0 and 4. So between the two x coordinates and then the two y coordinates. So the idea is that I take -3 plus 7 divided by 2. So this, one second, and I'm going to use a different color. So this and this for this values to get this values right here. And then for the other portion, I'm going to be using lighter green, 0 and 4. And then 0 plus 4 divided by 2 will be the other coordinates that will help me find out what my solution is. Because dividing by 2 will help me find the midpoint. And thus, when you solve this out, it's going to be 4 divided by 2, which is 2. 4 divided by 2 again is 2. Thus why my final answer for this question is going to be A for number 5. And that concludes my explanation for that question. To continue on to the last question for today. So for number 6. Okay. And then the so this is going to be A. Such that B is between A and C. So let's say C is here, B is here, and then C is between B and D. Whoops, I didn't draw that too well, but okay, the distance from A to B is 6. Okay, the distance from B to C is twice the distance from A to B. Okay, 12. And say the distance from C to D is twice the distance from B to C, so 24. What's the distance in units from the midpoint? So BC. Okay, it's the midpoint BC. 6 to the midpoint of CD. So 12 plus 6, 18. Okay, so for number 6, my final answer for this question is going to be F18. And the way that I was able to get to the solution, and now I'm going to go ahead and explain to you by, sort of sketching this out right here. So on a separate piece of paper, I'm going to go ahead and read off the question, and you'll see how I was able to set it up. So they tell me that points A, B, C, D are on a line so that B is between A and C. So I'm going to create this unknown line and start off with A. They state that B is between A and C. So I'm going to draw C and I'm going to state B. They also mention that C is between B and D. Okay, so once again, I messed up sort of on the drawing, but it's okay. This is just sort of like a guesstimation to help me follow along. Afterwards, they state the distance from AB is 6. So I'm going to write 6 right here. They state afterwards the distance from B to C, this part right here, is twice the distance from A to B. This means that I literally need to take the 6 and multiply by 2 to find the distance from B to C, which will be 12 then, because 6 times 2 is 12. Afterwards, they state that the distance from C to D is twice the distance from B to C. So once again, 12 times 2 is going to be 24. So that's the setup for this question. And now I'm able to go ahead and try to figure out what they're wanting in the end. What is the distance in units from the midpoint of BC? So the midpoint of BC. So it's going to be right in the center of B and C. That means that these measurements are going to be 6 and 6, this part right here. They want the midpoint, and I'm going to make it clear, it's right here, and up to the midpoint of CD. So I'm going to go ahead and create this right here. So between this to this point right here, they want the measurement. And so that means that I know that because this is the midpoint of 12, it's going to be 6. And the midpoint of 24 is going to be 12, like this. So I'm just doing this, and then I get to add them up. 6 plus 12, because they want the distance between these 2 points, will be 18. And that's how for number 6, my final answer is going to be 18 or F. And that concludes my explanation for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, so that we can continue to make content like this. I hope you have a wonderful day.